Have you ever wondered what 24 hours of van life is like?
Traveling and living in a self-converted camper van is a unique experience. Follow along and we'll share how we do it on a low budget.
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel.
If you're new to the channel, it's your first time joining us, we're Steve and Audra. Over the last year, we've been working on converting this Ford Transit high roof into a camper van. And most recently, we've been doing some traveling in the Northeast. If you're interested in seeing our adventures there, check out our latest videos. Now we are heading south, back to our home base in South Florida. And what we want to do now is share with you what it's like for a 24-hour period of time for us doing van life. We hope you'll find it interesting and helpful. One of the ways we try to keep our costs down is by trying to get lower gas prices if possible, especially with how high gas prices have been lately. So what we usually do is check two places. We check on Google Maps, so you can kind of search and see what gas is coming up and what the prices are. You can also check on GasBuddy. So we've been looking at prices. We've just seen some gas for $2.99 and we were thinking about doing that, but then I saw a price for $2.80. That's a big difference. So we got back on, we're getting back on 95. We're gonna try to get the cheaper gas now. So we just went around a curve and Gray's learned to reach out and hold on as we go around. That's pretty cute.
One thing you gotta be careful about is the advertised price. Sometimes if you're not looking carefully at their marquee sign, it may list a price for cash only, or a different price for credit cards, or maybe you have to be a member of that particular gas station. So just want to keep an eye out for that, of course. But it looks as though it's the same price for cash or credit, which is good. So there we are, $2.79 with credit. Score.
Look at that guy and all the money he's saving. Be taking tips later. Alright, so let's see how we did here. We got 20 gallons for $2.79. So that means if I'm doing the math correctly, we saved about $4 by just going to a different gas station. And this is our girl Gray, and she's been doing a lot better on the road. So when we used to come to the gas station and stop, she would hear stuff to run and hide whenever she heard anybody outside the van. Now she stays up in plain daylight and just kind of looks around, and she's much more relaxed. Aren't you, little girl? So we're glad for that. And this is something that's kind of funny. Doesn't usually happen. Steve's clothes have all fallen out of the cabinet. They usually actually stay in there pretty nicely. We don't have cupboard doors yet, as you can see, but that usually is not a problem. But today, they all fell out. So next up on the agenda is finding something quick for lunch. So once again, to keep our costs down, we are just doing some fast food. We'll probably just get like a sandwich each. We actually have the McDonald's app for when we do get fast food that we can see if there's any good deals that are really cheap. The last time we went to McDonald's, we got, I think, the McChicken sandwiches 2 for $2, so you can't beat $1 per sandwich, and free fries, I think. We try not to do much fast food, but we've been on the road for a while now. We're getting kind of low on our groceries. So what we did, we do have some fruit and vegetables in our little fridge. So we had some stuff a little bit earlier to kind of hold us over for a little bit. We had some cherries, tomatoes, and some other snacks. Now we're just going to grab these quick sandwiches, and then later tonight we will make our dinner. So we really try to not spend much money on food out. One of the downsides of being in a high roof van is that you can't go through the drive-through.
Well, technically you could, but all the body work you'd need to get done to the van afterwards would pretty much cut into your savings on your $1 sandwich.
That's true. So we have this deal on our app. Free. So while we're here, we're gonna get some ice cold water and restock our drink bottles. We're getting a little low on our drinking water, so until we can get to a grocery store and refill, we're gonna use this.
So as soon as Audra finishes that up, we'll be on the road.
So we're back in the van. Our kitty's conked out here, all relaxed. And what I'm gonna do is use the extra water we got, the ice, and fill up our container that's in the fridge. All right. So we'll have some ice water for a little longer. And that's that. Right, little girl? And then we push the fridge back. How we're keeping our fridge closed so it doesn't open when we're driving, we kind of have it nudged back behind this piece on our cabinet. And then after I'm done, Steve puts his seat back, like so. And then that keeps it closed. Sorry to disturb you, little kitty.
And with that, we're back on the road.
So time for a quick little lunch on the road. Bon appetit. Not bad for, what do we spend? $2 something for a whole lunch. We wanted to check back in with you. It's about 5 o'clock, so that means we have now been on the road for about 3 hours since we first started sharing our travels with you today. It's not super exciting being on the road like this, and it's not uncommon. A lot of times we will put in several hours a day driving, especially recently over the last several months since we've actually had the van. We have done a few trips up north because neither of our fathers are doing so well. They've got some health concerns. So we've been trying to spend some good time with family, which means we've been driving up and down Route 95 a lot. And that route is not exciting. Sometimes we like to try to get off the beaten path and do some other exploring, like off the highway. But just because of the nature of this trip, because we were trying to spend more time kind of at that destination with family, we, choose 95 as that's more of a straight shot instead of, taking some other roads like along the coast or whatever. So we have, I think, about another 3.5 hours yet. Our destination this evening is Charleston, South Carolina. We're currently in North Carolina, so we've got all that time left yet today. Steve pretty much does about 99% of the driving. I pretty much stick to co-piloting and figuring out our itinerary and take care of food and drink and that kind of stuff, some of our other logistics. And basically we just do whatever we can to kill some time as we're on the road. Sometimes I read books or spend time on the phone trying to figure out what we're doing next. Steve sometimes listens to music or podcasts.
So one of the things we like to do when we have these long stretches of driving is to make sure that our Ecoflow Delta is charged up. We started the day, I think it was about 60% or so when we started. So we have it plugged in and charging. It's a bit of a slow charge, but with all these hours on the road, it'll eventually get itself to 100%. I think we have enough fuel to get us to our destination, so outside of maybe perhaps a quick rest stop just to stretch our legs, I think we are good to go until we get there.
And our little kitty is up from her nap, although it looks like she's getting ready to go back to bed. Yeah, there she goes. And this is where you can find our kitty for most of our travels. Hi, baby. Aww. Hi, baby. Right here on the bed, and the little pillow of blankets we make for her. So as a general rule, I try not to come back here when the van's moving, just for safety. We think it's smarter just to stay seat belted in the front. But one of the perks of having a van is that we do have all of our stuff with us, and I can just get up, come back here, and grab a quick snack. So that's what I'm going to do now, and then I'm going to get back in the passenger seat. Alright, so we got our snack. Tide us over for a while. Yum.
Not sponsored by.
And we got these at a bent and dent type place in Pennsylvania, so I think they're like only $1.
So this is what I find Audra doing to pass the long hours on the road. She's a bit of a bookworm.
Alright, so it's about 6 o'clock and we just passed into South Carolina, and here is south of the border. This little touristy trap that's become quite a familiar sight for us as we travel up and down 95. So we finally made it to South Carolina. Probably about 2 more hours before we make it to Charleston yet. Alright, and we're gonna stop at this rest stop, stretch our legs a little bit, maybe take advantage of the bathrooms. I'm sure we've been to this one before. Actually, I don't think we have been to this one.
Not open.
Not open. Well, bummer. That's very,
So.
that's a very professional sign. Alright, we're gonna keep moving, I guess.
Oh wait, they are open. They're just icy.
Oh.
Well, I hope they're open.
Wait, are they? Oh, they've got
Yeah.
those temporary thingamabobbers. They've got like the porta-johns or whatever. So,
Well,
you just want to stretch your legs?
we've committed, so yeah, I need to get out of the van and stretch my legs a little bit. My back is starting to scream at me. So part of the effects of spending so many hours on the road, it's been, what, 4 hours now since we started, is you feel like you become one with the seat, and your back and your legs feel like they're fused into the vinyl of the seat, so you gotta peel yourself out. It doesn't help that I'm old and fat too. Oh,
He made it. He survived. So we're going to take this time to top off some of our water bottles. Make sure we stay hydrated while we're on the road. We keep the bigger bottle in the fridge. And then these water bottles that we use, they're, I guess, insulated. What are they? Some kind of metal. I don't know.
oops.
I saw that coming. Anyway, these bottles are really great because they will keep the water cold for a really long time, like 12 hours or something. So we love them, all of our metal bottles. Took me a while to become a believer, but someone gave us them as gifts, Teresa and Buddy, and we love them. The bottles and Teresa and Buddy. Ready to get back on the road?
Yep. It's a bit of a bummer that it wasn't open. I'd like to use these opportunities to splash some cold water in my face. Help me wake up a little bit, but you can't win them all.
So that wasn't bad. We were there pretty much less than 5 minutes. So we think it's nice to use a public restroom when there is one, but we do have our own facilities, if you guys have seen before. It's not the most glamorous thing, but we have our pee containers, and I honestly would rather use them than go in to like the porta-john type things. We also do have our own sort of composting toilet, and it's kind of a neat setup, unique, but it's more for emergency use, and we actually have not used that yet, but it is nice that we have it in case we need to use it. But anyway, that was just a quick stop, took care of business, and now we're back on the road. So it's around 6:30, we realized we have not checked our power unit to see how that's doing with the charge, so I'm going to do that right now. This is our Delta Ecoflow power unit. So, we've been actually on the road today probably, I think since 1 o'clock. I can't remember when we actually plugged this in. I don't know if it was at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. But as you can see, it's done pretty well. It's almost fully charged. So I just showed you how the Delta's doing, that it's almost charged up. A concern I had was for our fridge. So what we typically do when we're traveling is actually use the fridge more as a cooler, so we keep ice in it. But we can run the fridge. So the last few days we've had bottles of ice that have been keeping the fridge cold, and I'm kind of concerned that they might be melting too much. So I was hoping we could actually turn on the fridge as we were driving, since the Delta is so charged up, and kind of get things cold again, maybe refreeze some of the ice. But then we realized the things aren't hooked up properly to be able to do that. Steve can probably explain that a little bit better.
It gets a little complicated, but like Audra said, obviously the Delta itself can, the inverter, or can push out, I guess it's called 110, which would power any normal household appliance such as our mini fridge. In order to do that, in the back, I have to plug it in so that it powers the van. There's a couple of outlets we have at the moment, one of which runs and feeds the refrigerator. You can only do that through the back doors. We couldn't do that while we're driving. So the last we had used shore power was at Audra's dad's place.
My mom's, actually, yeah.
And now, so it's not currently configured to take power from the Delta. So that's the current issue that we're facing. Clear as mud, right? What you really need to know is that we can't do it while we're driving. Is the long and short of it.
So we didn't plan ahead well for that, unfortunately, but I think it'll be okay. If worse comes to worse, I guess we'll have to buy some ice. But we did have, I think the container was, I don't know, was it like 75%-ish ice when we left this morning? So it might be okay.
We do have a thermometer in there, so we try to keep a close eye on it, make sure that our food isn't in danger of becoming spoiled or whatever.
So another update, it's a little after 7 o'clock. Not much looks different on the road. Same old, same old. Not a lot of traffic, which is nice because we've seen some backed up traffic on the other side. So the update now is that we have changed our plans, which can happen when you're doing van life. Our day took a little bit longer than we anticipated, and the arrival time for us to get to Charleston was getting later and later. So we have decided to try something new. We looked on iOverlander, and there is a boat ramp on a lake that several people have posted that they've stayed at overnight, and it'll make our drive time not quite so long today. So I think we're going to try that next. Should be, I think, about an hour from here. Alright, this is our exit.
Take exit 98, then keep right at the fork.
Public boat ramp. Alright, so we've pulled in, and now it's time to make some dinner. This is not the ideal way that I would usually fill the pot to make pasta. But we don't have our extra jugs of water. So I'm using the foot pump here and filling it from our water tank, which doesn't have quite the high flow. It's better for washing dishes and hair and other things, but it works. So, filling this up to boil some tortellini for dinner. So for this trip, we don't have all of our storage all figured out. So we have some bins down here, and that's where we're keeping our pots and pans. So I grabbed a pot from here, and then just so you can see, here's our foot pump and our kitty. Here's our foot pump.
So we wanted to give you a better explanation as to our electrical configuration. Give you a bit of a visual representation of what's going on here. If you can see through all of our storage stuff, in the back, that yellow plug right there is plugged into the back side of the Delta. So when we turn on the inverter, it pushes power through here. And I have this power strip feeds out a couple lines. This goes to an outlet right by the slider door, and this line here feeds right by the refrigerator. So right now I have this plugged into our shore power, so I need to unplug it from there, and then it's going to be tough to do. It's tough to do with two hands. I need to get a longer cord for this to make this not so challenging, but simply need to plug it in there. Like so. And that's pretty tight. So now when we turn on the inverter, it'll push power through here up to the power strip and out to the van.
So one of the ways we save money is we try to cook as many meals on the road as possible, and we also shop at Aldi, which is one of the places we think is the cheapest for getting groceries. Tonight, if you followed along before, you've seen this before. One of our go-tos for easy meal is tortellini and pesto, and we're also doing some asparagus. We got all the ingredients from Aldi. I'm actually a little disappointed tonight. We got the asparagus. It is actually not in very good shape, and we just got it yesterday. I even had looked at the package to make sure it looked kind of fresh, but it is kind of all nasty. It's all like bendy, and some of the tips were kind of rotted, so I've kind of washed it off, used what we could. I think it'll be fine once we cook it all up here, but it is a little disappointing. But usually the stuff we get there is pretty good quality. So now we're going to be cooking up everything on our camp stove. Steve really enjoys cooking with this. We haven't used it that much in the van. We've just started recently doing that, so it's working out pretty well. It'll be a little easier once we get a full countertop built here, so we don't have to do like a makeshift setup here.
Alright, so a little bit of an update. As I just showed you, I had everything hooked up in the back, so the van was ready for the Delta's output. And now we're getting a little flashing warning, which is an indication of overheating. Not sure why. It was only putting out about 80 watts, which isn't much. The outside temperature is about 84 degrees, so that's not terrible either. So this is a little bit frustrating, understanding why this is happening.
So we're making some progress here with dinner. Tortellini's boiling, and the asparagus is getting cooked up. And as we're doing that, my little girl is just chilling on the front seat, just hanging out. Good girl.
Alright, so I have restarted the inverter on the Ecoflow Delta. I had it kind of pushed over against the side, and that's where one of the vents is. Another vent is on this side. So I'm wondering if it just didn't have enough room to breathe, and that's what's setting the temperature warning off. It has a built-in safety feature that if it gets too hot, it'll just shut itself down. So anyway, I'm hoping that this will do the trick. As yet another update, the heat sensor keeps tripping, turning off the inverter. I have no idea why, and not much I can do about it right now. So that's a little frustrating, but it's a problem for another day, I suppose.
So our first course is asparagus. It turned out pretty good.
Yummy, yummy.
What you doing, my girl? What you doing? Where you going? Now we've got our tortellini. Pesto tortellini. So this is an unplanned, horrible part of van life. We were sitting here eating our dinner, And I looked out the window and I saw something on fire in the parking lot and a guy walking away from it. He just shot off a whole mess of fireworks. We had no idea. The door was open. Thankfully, the cat was on the leash. She was up on the counter behind the stove. She ran down real quick. She knocked the pot of water. It went on the phone.
No,
Thankfully,
you didn't have this closed.
Oh, which is funny. I tried to screw that up actually so it wouldn't do that. So I guess it was our drinking water, which we don't have much of, spilled. I tried to catch her. I had her on the leash, but we had unhooked it because she kept going all over the van. So she ran out the van. I caught the leash. Have to be careful because she can actually get out of her leash if she pulls the wrong way. So I thankfully got her, put her in real quick, closed the door. Steve's trying to clean up the mess that's down here. That was not fun. So water went all over the floor down here. Everything was kind of knocked around up here. I threw Steve my food bowl, the food bowls are now sitting down on the chair. And the poor cat is petrified back at the back of our van. So that was fun. And then they drove away and had no idea all the chaos they had caused by that. So anyway, hopefully after this it'll be quiet. Alright, so now we are cleaning up after dinner. Things are settled down after that whole chaos of the fireworks earlier and the mess in the van. We got the water cleaned up. Steve's using the sink to do the dishes. Alright, so every night before bedtime, our little kitty gets some soft food. She gets a new can tonight. And she knows when it's dinner time. What are you doing, kitty? What are you doing, huh? Alright, so we stir it up a little bit. Yum. And then she gets her dinner. Ready, baby? Come on. Come here, honey. And there's some dinner for Gray Gray. So one of our current problems in the van is that we don't have a mosquito or bug screen up for our slider. We have one, but it doesn't quite fit yet. It actually was working before when we had kind of metal exposed around the slider, but now we've built around it with wood. So we used to be able to keep it up with magnets. Now we have no way to keep it up, so we're going to have to really make that a priority and cut the screen to kind of fit this slider, get that working, because when we parked tonight and opened up the slider to make dinner, all kinds of bugs started coming in. We have mosquitoes, some bigger bugs, all kinds of stuff. So that's something we definitely have to work on, because it's not fun having bugs in the van. But I did get one mosquito at least. Alright, so we just found a level parking spot in this parking lot where we already were. Where we first parked to make dinner, it wasn't quite flat, so Steve found a better spot. We gave Gray Gray her dinner, and now I'm gonna do some toiletries. We don't really have a good place for our toiletry stuff yet, so we're using these toiletry bags. Eventually I think we'd like to build 2 extra small cabinets in the van. So this trip is the first time that we've had the sink in the van, and man, does that make a difference, because we kind of had to just make do before with water jugs and stuff like that. So the last thing we do before going to bed, obviously regular toiletry stuff, brushing our teeth. And the nice thing with a foot pump is you can really control how much water is used, so we don't go through too much. So I will keep getting ready for bed, doing my face and all that stuff. And then we'll show you the process for getting into bed. So when it's time for bed, we have a few things we kind of have to put away. This is where we store our window cover for the windshield. So we take that off the bed. Then I get up into the bed And we have to move all the pillows. So I have this closed during the day sometimes to keep the heat out from the back. But at night I open it up, take the pillows off, put them back here on our back ledge. And then pull the sheets down. And usually I just get changed up here because my closet's here. And that's pretty much it. I sleep on this side, Steve sleeps on that side, and the kitty usually sleeps right here next to me.
So I know what some of you are thinking, well, at least you guys, why so many pillows? And the answer is actually pretty scientific. It helps the miles per gallon, you see, because the more pillows you have, the lighter the van will be, because pillows are so light. So therefore, better gas mileage.
The pillows are here because they're pretty, and also because when you want to sit up here and lounge and read, it's nice to have some pillows. That's why there's so many pillows. And now, it's finally time for bed. So this is our nightly routine. Steve usually gets in bed before me, and then I have to climb over him to get into bed. Ta-da! And then I found my pajamas for the night. And here's our kitty for the night. Oh, this is one of the things she likes to do. Watch out. We'll show them. She likes to go up in the cupboard. We have the MaxxAir running. I don't know if you can see, but there's quite a bit of stuff on there, even though we cleaned it actually while on this trip. And it's pretty comfortable with it running. With the fan running, it's currently 82 degrees, as you can see right here. The forecast is that it's supposed to get down in the lower to mid 70s, so it should be comfortable throughout the night. Right now it's a little warm, but the MaxxAir fan does make a pretty big difference. Stinker. Alright, so we're in for the night. It was a pretty chaotic, stressful day in some ways.
That's an understatement.
Probably one of the most stressful evenings, at least, of our young van life career.
And you were here for it, although you didn't get to see all the drama. It really was pretty stressful with the fireworks and the cat, so...
I should give another update. As of like the past maybe 15 minutes now, the Ecoflow Delta inverter has been running. So, I don't know if it was just too hot, even at whatever it was, 84 degrees I think it was in the van at the time. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but whatever. It's running now, which is a relief. So hopefully it was just a fluke.
And our cat has calmed down. That was pretty traumatic. We're glad we didn't lose her and all that craziness. And I think I've killed maybe 5 or 6 mosquitoes now. Hopefully there's no more left in here now that we've got everything buttoned up. We have the curtains kind of closed, windows cracked open, but everything's got screens. And we're kind of tucked in for the night. I have my water bottle. Books, and I actually just saw another mosquito, and we've got these handy dandy little night lights that are really nice in here, and we're ready for bed. Ready, right?
That's it.
So we'll catch you guys tomorrow. I said you guys had the best seat in the house.
That's right.
Do you want to say hi to our YouTube channel?
Hello.
Tune in next week for the conclusion of our 24 hours on the road as we continue our journey south.
And meet the world famous Ed and Eddie.
As you wait with bated breath for the second installment, We invite you to browse the rest of our van build and travel episodes if you're new to the channel.
They are certified awesome.
And we'd love to hear from you. Let us know how you found us, what you'd like to see in the future, and
what your favorite spice is.
see you next week.
Bye.